The Podium and Olympics podcast coming to you today for a very, very special episode. It is 100 days to go until the Milano Cortina Winter Olympics. The day we're releasing this, 100 glorious days until the next Olympics, the Winter Olympics, the better Olympics, as we all know. We are very, very excited for it. And I'm very excited today to have, I think, is it kind of our third, in a way, crossover episode? I don't think.
At least.
Yeah. It's up there. To welcome back to this show, our esteemed colleagues on the better podcast, let's be honest, the one that wins trivia competitions from Keep the Flame Alive, Alison and Jill. First of all, guys, welcome back to the podcast and congratulations. You are the Fantasy 5 Rings quiz champions for 2025.
Yes.
So
thank you for both. I don't know if Alex left it in the show. I can't recall, but did he leave in that I said all I care about in this whole thing was beating Ben?
No, but I just assumed that would be the case anyway. So, yeah, I personally blame Colin because I never lose.
No, let's be honest. Bus? Oh, it's on top of Colin.
I did get some embarrassing ones wrong. I mean, the fact that I didn't know what position Australia finished on the medal table in Paris, and I worked for the team during the games, was quite embarrassing. So I was off by 2. So anyway,
that's numbers.
Yeah.
Who remembers numbers?
I mean,
No, but like that's such a technical.
Yeah. But I don't know if you get a prize. I don't know. Like, does Alex say, do you get anything? Do you know? Or I have no
extra
idea.
love in our hearts.
Yeah. the esteemed title of the smartest Olympic podcast. That's where you get it. I want you to do that your introduction every single time around now. I want you to be like, well, to Keep Flame Alive, the smartest Olympic podcast.
Artist, I'm writing that down.
Yeah. You know,
it is in our description. We do say that we're smart. So I'm glad we proved that to actually be true.
You know, it's very unlike Americans to be cocky and out there with their opinions, but this time you can back it up. So I'm
right.
Glad you can do that. 100 days to go though. Milano Cortina. We are here. We're excited. Just general question. How are you both feeling? Because you're not only going again, you went to Beijing, but this is a much different vibe for Americans to get to a Winter Olympics because, again, a lot more expectations than Australians. So general vibes, moods, how are we feeling with 100 days out to go before the Olympics?
Well, this is going to be my... I was going to say, it's going to be my first Olympics, yeah.
No, your first Olympics.
Yeah.
Of course, you didn't go to
my
Beijing.
first winter.
Yeah.
I was only at the Para, so this is going to be my first Winter Olympics in person.
That's exciting.
And I go from excited one moment to very scared the next. So that's all day, every day is up and down and up and down. I'm getting excited. It's going to be logistically very, very tough for us in a different way from Beijing. But, you know, every time I think about planning for Milano, I am so grateful that we got accredited for Beijing because that turned out to be the perfect games for us as a tiny 2-person outfit with no other journalism background and no sports journalism background for sure to learn how to navigate the games because there's so much going on in the background that you don't know. And because of COVID, so many of the other fun elements were taken away. So we didn't have hospitality houses. There were they tried very hard to put in a little bit of culture in the main press center in Beijing, but a lot of cultural things were not there. You couldn't explore the city. You didn't have all of these other outside things going on to take away your attention or try to help you get a feel of the city a little bit better. So now that we know logistically what all is involved with doing a games, being able to go to a city and know a little bit more of what to expect is just that part of it is a relief, but the games are spread out across northern Italy and getting around that's going to be tough.
Yeah. As from a fan perspective, discovering where to go once you get tickets is a bit of a challenge outside of that first week in Milan where everything's in one city versus then when you realize, hey, these look close and then they're not. So that's quite fun. I mean, Alison, for you, not having been to a full Winter Olympics before, do you have a different mindset going into how you're feeling to Paris, similar to what Jill was saying? I guess you've done an Olympics now, so you can at least know what to expect, but still a different type of Olympics this time around because you got to wear a few more layers this time around as opposed to last year.
Yes, it's definitely going to be way colder than it was in Paris, which is not necessarily a bad thing. The nice thing is having done the Beijing Paralympics and then having done Paris is it made me realize that each one is a completely different animal. Each situation is totally different, so that I go into it knowing, okay, I know what the press center's function is, but it may function completely different because Beijing and Paris were so different.
Yeah.
Even during both Paralympics. So I go into it going, Jill and I kind of know how we're going to run the days. We kind of know we go to different events, we come back in the evening and record the show. So we have that pattern down. But every day is going to be an adventure, and who knows what's going to come our way. And that's the point.
Yeah.
So it's accepting the unexpected.
Which I'd love to find out then, because I saw how you guys worked in Paris, and I love sort of how you would be saying like, oh, I'm going off to the volleyball today, and Jill's going off to the swimming, and I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Like, it's sort of great to do that. In Paris, the majority of those sports were within an area where you could do that, whereas this is a little bit different. So when it comes to, say, how your schedules are going to work, are you already sort of looking at it going like, okay, this week I will do figure skating, and this week I will go and do men's alpine skiing? Like, how are you guys going to manage the very spread out locations of these Olympics, or is that still work in progress for you both?
Work in progress, and accepting that there are venues and cities we're not going to get to.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's just not logistically possible to have an 8-hour travel day and see nothing for 2 days of the Olympics because you got to travel up and back.
Yeah. And so this is a case where you are purely basing yourselves in Milan. You're not sort of having a satellite base or like a week where you're going, like, for example, I've got a week in Milan, and my second week is in, I don't even remember the name of the town I'm staying in, but it's close to some of the venues I'm going to. That's all I've worked out. So is it a case of you're going to do that or just stay in the one spot for the entire time?
We don't know.
You don't know? Oh, wow.
I mean, we have a place.
100 days ago, tick.
But we have a place booked for Milan for the duration.
Yeah.
What we can get to, and as I was explaining ahead of time, we got the big transportation document. What we can get to in a day may be more than we think.
Yeah.
And there may be, hey, we record, somebody's recording on a train. We may not be in the same room when we record. We don't know. We may say the show will come out instead of the same day for America. The show may come out the next day because we're going to get up Mondo early and be on a train to get over to Cortina.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it seems possible, but we'll see what, and it's also going to depend on the weather.
Yeah, you don't know until you're there. It's one of those things where, and I'm sure you've found the same, that like you can read all the documents, you can understand everything that you can, but until you're there, it doesn't. I mean, my biggest one for that with Paris was when the day I went to the handball, I just spent that whole time thinking like, oh yeah, Lille's not that far. I could just get there and, whatever. Didn't realize you had to book the train ticket like a month in advance because it was all sold out and all that kind of fun stuff. So the logistics of it obviously are quite tricky. On a sidebar on that, do you like this? Do you like the fact that they are being spread? I mean, from a fan or a journalist perspective, it's maybe, not exactly great for us, but like in terms of spreading it out a lot more for an Olympics to allow this, because a Winter Olympics is obviously very different in the fact that you can't really have skiing in the middle of a city. What was it? Kazakhstan tried to do that, didn't they? But didn't quite get the Olympics. But do you like this model, or do we feel that this needs to be not like this moving forward?
Every Winter Olympics since, I guess, Lillehammer has basically had two bases, a city portion and a mountain portion. You're going to need to do that because cities or rather mountain regions aren't going to build giant arenas. They can't support them. That's fine. But why is men's alpine and women's alpine on two completely different mountains?
Yeah.
That's unnecessary.
Yeah.
And so far apart.
Yeah. Which it is tricky when it comes to sort of working that out and everything along those lines with it too. I guess we're going to have to suck this pain up for a little bit because the French Alps is very diverse That's literally the Alps. So we don't exactly have one location. But then I guess we get back to somewhat of normality for Salt Lake in 2034, right? So Americans once again come in to save the day.
Well, I mean, Salt Lake City is different though, because you do have a large city and the mountains are right there.
Yeah.
And that's really lucky, I think, for Salt Lake City. There'll be a nice compact games. I think they've got more arena space than they did the last time they hosted. They're going to put big air downtown. It's going to be awesome. It's just going to be a different feel. This, I get that they're reusing a lot of venues in a way, and they're reusing venues where they have World Cup experience. So something like biathlon, which is really far away, but at the same time, it's the same venue that they use consistently for biathlon on the World Cup circuit. So, okay, I get that you're there, and it's good that you're reusing this venue, but it still makes it hard for this one event.
I've got tickets to biathlon, and when I first got them, I thought it was close to curling, and I thought it was close to bobsled, and realized later it wasn't. But I've worked it out, and I'm going to get to biathlon. That's the trickiest one to get to. So yeah.
It is the trickiest one to get to, and the one that we are probably not going to get to. So what is your plan? Tell us, what do you have tickets for?
For the first week, I know ice hockey was my biggest one. I'm assuming we'll talk about figure skating with you in just a moment. I'm assuming that's your main one, but my main one 100% all the time was ice hockey, even more so than the chance of seeing an Australian win a medal. And I've already pissed off Dean and Tarly because, me being in Milan for the first week means I'm going to miss the mixed curling. So sorry, Dean and Tarly. But no, ice hockey was always my preference, and I bought a bunch of sessions, and I've lucked into the fact that I bought these sessions before the teams were even announced what days, and I wanted to see USA and Canada in both men's and women's, and luckily for me, sessions I have got will be seeing men's and women's USA and Canada, so I'm very lucky with that. I've also got speed skating, short track in Milan. I didn't get figure skating because, look, I don't dislike figure skating, but for the prices you were paying, I would rather spend money on seeing the other ice sports. And I got an opening ceremony ticket, so I got very lucky. And then in the second week, I've got curling, bobsleigh, biathlon. And then when I finally worked out what town I can stay in, that gets me on a train within a few hours of these places, I realized I was on the same loop as ski jumping and Nordic combined. So I ended up adding a couple of those. So I may add some more because I've got a couple of gap days just in case. But yeah, they're the ones I got ice hockey. I was happy. The rest kind of just fell into place. And I know with the bobsleigh, for example, I'm pretty sure I've got a ticket to the mono bob for the women. So I could get to see Brie win a medal. And the curling, it's, I think, men's teams. But yeah, other than that, I'm not really going to see any Aussies. The snowboarding and the freestyle are way too out of the way from where I was going. The only other one I'm tempted to splurge on is if I can get somewhere to see Esther Ledecker. But again, the parallel slalom and the snowboarding is a bit away, and the women's, I think the Super G might be on when I'm near there, but the tickets are just sold out. So, yeah, but obviously you don't need tickets. You have a lovely little lanyard with a pass on it. But what are the ones? I mean, I'm guessing for you it's figure skating. Are you just sort of figure skating first and then everything else, or kind of what are your sort of main events you are hoping to get to?
It's like everything.
Figure skating, yeah, it's everything. I mean, I went to the World Figure Skating Championships last year because they were here in Boston, and I said to Jill after that event, I don't feel like I need to see a ton of Olympic figure skating now because I saw the main players. Not that I won't get to some events, but that's definitely not going to be our main goal. My plan for one of those -1, -2 days is to get up and see Dean and Tali because I love them.
Oh yeah, we love
so
them.
I would love, that may be one of my early adventures to try and get myself up to Cortina and see if you can make it there in enough time to even see
I'll have
an
to
event.
send you just so many things to take to them. Because I do feel really bad. Because honestly, throughout, I mean, you obviously are the same. You form good friendships on the show, and we find we do that a lot more. No disrespect to our summer guests, but a lot more with our winter guests. And we go on the journey a lot. And the three big ones for us, I think, are always going to be Dean and Tali, Bree, and our Canadian ski jumping friend, Ali Ludit, who sadly has just done her ACL and probably isn't going to be there now because the ski jumping ticket I got was for one of her events. But yeah, I kind of feel obligated that I should go and see them after all these years, and I feel horrible for Dean and Tali. Like, it's just, if mixed doubles curling was in the second week, I would be laughing, but they do it at the beginning. So yeah, I'm very jealous, Alison, if you do get to go see them.
I am very curious. How was it to get accommodation for you and also figure out transportation?
It was, yeah, the first week was fine because Milan, and I just booked an Airbnb. We're a little bit out of the city. Looks like a nice little area near the river. My colleague Patrick, who does stuff with us here on the show, he's going to be there too, and we're sort of going to bunk together for I think about 6 or 7 nights, and I'm there for maybe like 8 nights. The second week was, yeah, like I was just that very dumb, naive, oh yeah, I'll just get accommodation in Cortina. And you look up the prices and they're like $35,000 a night. And you're like, yeah, no, I'm not getting accommodation in Cortina. So that was honestly very stressful because I don't know if you guys have found it very tricky to navigate some of the things that are said on the Milano Cortina website in relation to transportation and balancing that of, yeah, this is where things will be. Okay. There will be shuttle buses to these venues from these places. Okay. But then each of these places where shuttle buses are also tiny little towns in the middle of nowhere. So then you kind of balance out, well, is it worth staying in Venice? And then you go, okay, no, you may as well still say Milan because there's, you know, the transportations. Long story short, I worked out like the train loops and then I just chose a town that is on a loop that essentially gets me to the train stations where the shuttles are. And that's how I've worked it out. So I think I'm like, you know, an hour on a train to one place and then another an hour on a shuttle bus. I had a friend who went to Pyeongchang and he said that it sounds very similar in that they run very much, like a lot of these shuttle buses will go later. They do it very well. Like it seems forever, but it's very well put together. My only concern is, and no disrespect to our Italian friends, is that Koreans, I think, are a little bit more organized than the Italians. So I'm a little bit worried about that. But based on what I have put together, I'm very hopeful that where I am staying, I've got an Airbnb, I think an entire place to myself for a week, will work out. But ask me in March and I will tell you.
You think you have an entire place to yourself, but you might find some American old lady on your floor.
Hey,
at some place.
I know how I can get to biathlon.
In all seriousness, and I will say this on air. I mean, I've said to Patrick, like, because it looks like a fairly decently sized place. I said, like, if you're in the vicinity and you need a place to stay, come on in. And so by all means, both of you, if you're in, I'll let you know the town. I can't remember off the top of my head. I've got a bad memory. So like, it's in Italy. I'll tell you that. I'll probably rock up and it's like, no, you're actually in Austria. And I'm like, shit. So I don't know. So if figure skating isn't the focus then, and I'm going to try so you don't talk over each other, I'll actually direct it to each of you now. I'll do a good job as a host. Jill, what are some events that you are looking forward to getting to that are sort of top of the list for you to see?
Well, I would say speed skating because one of our past guests, Erin Jackson, will hopefully be going again. However, I saw her in Beijing, so Alison gets first dibs on that.
I like that you have dibs. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, I did love Big Air last time I saw it, and I would love to see it again. I would love to and I think getting up to where Big Air is, which now I can't remember that, Livigno. I think it's in Livigno, and getting up to Big Air and snowboard. I love snowboard cross a lot.
Jealous.
So that would be another one I would like to see. Hopefully those are doable in a day. Maybe getting over to cross country because I did not see cross country in Beijing. That would be kind of nice as well. But then you go, I don't know. Ski mountaineering might be fun to see. But that stuff is over so quickly that, and I think the other thing that people don't understand when they're at home is that they can see stuff on a stream all day. Whereas we'll travel 3 hours, 4 hours to watch a 1 hour competition.
Yeah.
And that's when you go, oh, this is hard.
It is.
That's the hard part.
It's, and oh, boo-hoo us, we're going to the Olympics. Aren't we in a terrible situation? But like it is that catch-22 of when you go to an event like that is that you do miss out a lot. Like it's sort of, I'm still now a year after Paris, kind of seeing things that I didn't get to see when I was there. Like, there are Australian gold medals that I barely got to see because I was working somewhere else and you only see a brief replay. So it is that catch-22 that you do miss a lot, but at the same time you are there. You are.
Yeah.
You're not just on a couch.
You are there and you're soaking up the excitement, and it is really cool. And Italy will be a lot of fun.
Yep.
I'm a little worried about organization and getting information, but that's part of the culture. And it's just, I don't know. I mean, that's where I get excited and nervous, and it's fun to be able to be there and soak up everything. The fact that it's so spread out is the hard part on how Olympic will every little cluster feel. Because at least in Beijing, you could see when you went out, you did the far trip out to the freestyle stuff and the Nordic skiing stuff. If there had been no COVID, they would have had a whole little plaza with a lot of cultural stuff going on, and it looked like it was going to be hopping. And you could ski, like the public could go skiing off of the back of some of these resorts, and you'd be right by the aerials, and you could go skiing somewhere else. And it was just like, oh, Jean-Jacques would have been just bumping with excitement. And that I missed. But I also, I worry that you have one event in, you have women's alpine in one town.
Yeah.
Where are you going to get that fun Olympic feel that you get from a lot of different fans from a lot of different places and a lot of different interests coming from?
Yeah, because it's that vibe. Like, Paris definitely felt it. I know when I did the Commonwealth Games in 2018, you could feel it along the Gold Coast. The vibe in the city, the vibe in the area that something special's on, and all the people from around the world are converging on a place. And yeah, we're such a spread out area. I'm sure Milan will be pumping, of course, but when you go to these smaller towns and everything, because you're right, like it's sort of, so many of these places just have one event. It's sort of, that's what they've got. But on the flip side of that, I guess, like as you mentioned, say a place like the biathlon venue, which I've heard is just one of the best biathlon venues, and you're getting thousands, 20, 30, 40,000 people at these venues. Like, they're used to hosting these types of events. So I guess at the end of the day, they just whack a couple of, rings on the logo instead, that hopefully it might bring a bit extra there. Alison, do you have any events that you're sort of at the top of the list for you?
Sliding. I know it's going to be a nightmare to get there, but the very first guest we had on our show was Josh Williamson, who's a pusher for mostly 4-man for the US. And if he's in a sled, not seeing him would kill me, because we could definitely not see him in Beijing. There was I wasn't there, and Jill could not get up there. You could not get from A to B. And he also had COVID and almost couldn't compete, but he got well enough at the last minute. So now in this big open Olympics, not to get to see him compete would really make me feel very sad. And we've spoken to Brie, so love to see Brie. And last week I got to talk to Elena Myers-Taylor. So I'm like, seeing the women would be cool too, but it's going to be tricky.
Yeah.
So but the good news is that the 4-man is in the second week.
Yeah.
So if your floor is open, that may make that a little easier.
You're more than welcome.
But yeah,
it's because it is,
and it's the new event, the new track.
Yeah, exactly.
The new sliding track. Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be finished. I don't know if it's like the ice hockey venue, and it still looks like it's the skeleton at the moment, but I guess they'll get there eventually. We've talked about this before. I know we have. We feel like parents to our guests sometimes, that it's just you want to support them. And again, not disrespecting our summer guests, but particularly from the Australian perspective, because there's so fewer of them, that we're able to keep track of them so much. Like I would always feel bad during Paris when I'd have to flick a note to Colin and Jared and go, this person competed today. They got eliminated in the first round. That's just a little update for them. Like I feel horrible. It's not to take away from their achievements and the great interviews that they've given on this show. But it's harder, obviously, to keep track when Australia sends 400 athletes versus 40 athletes. And we've maybe interviewed, a quarter of winter versus, a tenth of the summer. But I'm glad that we're all on the page of people like Brie and Dean and Tali. That's great. You know, we're good to kind of have that. Do you have, and again, I don't want you to pick favorites, but I kind of do. Do you have that like ultimate one that if they won a medal or they did their best, that, you know, you've been on a journey with them for so long, maybe that seeing them do whatever they do would be the biggest deal for you next year?
I'm not going to pander to the show and to your country, but I really would, really would like Brie to win a medal.
Yeah.
She was so good. She has worked so hard. She was sick last year at World Championships, right?
Yeah.
And she just, to get a meet where she can be at her full potential would be fantastic. That would be great. Not to take away from the other people we've talked to, but that would be an awesome
We'd be
medal
happy with that. We'd be happy with that. No,
yeah. I mean, I would love Erin Jackson to repeat.
She won just the one in Beijing, wasn't it? But still, obviously, a pretty big deal to achieve what she did. I'm a massive, on the American fan, but we haven't named him on the show. I'd love to get him on the show. I'm a Jordan Stoltz man, so I'd love to see Jordan, you know, do everything that he's been doing outside of the Olympics and, you know, put all that together. And I can't remember what session I've got tickets to speed skating for, but I hope I get to see him. And I'm also a big Bart Swings man, so I'd like to see Belgium, you know, get those on top of that. But I really, and again, not picking favorites, but sort of picking favorites. I mean, just the Dean and Tali journey that they've been on, and I think the fact that, you know, going into Beijing, that was all about like this, you know, groundbreaking Australia curling, we've made it, and all the attention they got. But if they are able to get over the line in the qualification tournament, and they should, they are bona fide medal chances this time around. Obviously, getting the bronze at the World Championships earlier this year, that the heartbreak that brought them to not get direct qualification, basically, because I think you guys beat somebody in the qualifying rounds, which meant that we didn't make it. So thanks for that, America. But it, and I caught up with Dean. I've said this a few times on the show, but I, you know, caught up with him here, had coffee with him, and just spoke to him about that. Like, what's that like? And he's like, yeah, it's hard. Like, we're so happy we get a bronze at the World Championship, but we're devastated that we've got to go through this tournament that we realistically weren't planning on having to do this time around. But based on where they're at right now, at least at releasing this, they're back in their form. They've picked up a gold at one tournament on the weekend. They got a silver the other week. So they're in very good, strong form. And if they get over the edge, which again they should, genuine chance of getting a medal in curling, which, you know, I mean, I know America's done it before, but I mean, for Australia, any winter sport that we get a medal in, except for maybe women's aerials and moguls, is generally pretty much a shock. So we'll take it. So excited for that.
I mean, they do have competition in the Dreamboat Italian Amos. What's his last name, Alison?
I thought we were going to bring up our Swedish Dreamboat that we still love from Beijing.
No,
but
it's
the Italian
Amos Mosner.
Okay. Oh, she's blushing. She's really blushing. Okay. Oh.
And I will say we have not talked to them, but the American pair, I do. Hopefully, we'll get to talk to them before Milano. But the pair, the man of the pair, his name is Corey Dropkin, and he has been the also ran for I don't know how many games. And for him to finally get his Olympic dream has been, I am very, very happy that he gets to do that. It also doesn't hurt that I curled at the same club that he did for just
curled at the same
tiny
club.
Bit. Yes. For just a tiny moment. Never cross paths, of course, because curling is hard and new person starts very at the bottom.
Does that mean then that the one time I curled, I did it at the same place that Dean and Tali do it? I curled at the same place.
There you go. Yeah, you can still you can call that.
Hey, there you go.
It's funny because because I used to, when I lived in Massachusetts, I used to do summer biathlon. And the biathlon course that we were at was the first course that one of our Olympians started biathlon at, and we heard that almost every time we competed. Hey,
that's places like that deserve to be able to like highlight what they've produced, and I think they need to do that more often. So I like that. You touched on it briefly, Jill, before. I'd love to hear your thoughts on skimo, because we've done a lot on this show recently on skimo. We've had a lot of skimo guests, and we've still got a lot more to come. And one thing I have found that this sport not only is fantastic, but the athletes are just a personality of themselves. They are amazing people with their own unique stories, from people who have just basically discovered this a couple of years ago, go, cool, I'll go to the Olympics, to our leading male hope, Phil Bellingham, who is a triple Olympian in cross-country skiing, will qualify for skimo, but he's still trying to qualify for cross-country skiing. So he's doing an Esseledecke here, trying to go to 2 different sports at the same Olympics. He'd be the first Australian Winter Olympian to ever achieve that if he does it. But skimo, what's your thoughts on this? Are you excited for it? Alison, you can start
excited.
this time. Sorry,
Jill.
Jill.
I do. Sorry,
Alison.
That's okay.
No, that's okay. We got to talk to Sarah Cookler, who's the head coach for the U.S. team, and she got us so excited for skimo, especially Jill. This is so up Jill's alley, a kind of sport, because she loves biathlon and the melding, and I got really jazzed about the skins on the skis.
Oh yeah, yep.
Love that sort of technical stuff. So we haven't yet gotten to talk to any of our skimo athletes, but we're hoping next week for the Team USA Summit. But yeah, I think it's a great addition. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think it brings in a whole different kind of athlete in a way that sort of loves that adventure, but isn't the adrenaline junkie of the moguls. So I love a good race where it's the person who crosses the line first is the winner.
Yeah, because the Winter Olympics is definitely more of a judged Olympics, isn't it? The majority of sports, you would say, rely a lot on judges' scores, which
and one at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
The skiing and the speed skating, it's a lot of you're racing against whatever the clock is,
versus
not
a
the
race,
person next to you.
As in, exactly that. Jill, you pumped for skimo?
I am excited. I am curious to know, because it's a very Eurocentric sport, and I'm curious to see how much it's spread out across the world and how much it will continue to spread out across the world, because we're seeing some of the other sports like Nordic combined and ski jumping getting the pressure of you are not worldwide enough anymore. I mean, they've got a worldwide presence in what they need to have, but it just feels like, it's the
more
same
Pitbull, Mr. Worldwide.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Pitbull reference. Why not? It's only taken us 500 episodes.
I would love to see Pitbull and skimo. That would be fun.
Fun story. At the time of recording this, I'm seeing Pitbull this weekend, so maybe that's why he's on my mind. Baby.
There you go.
Baby.
There you go.
Mr. Worldwide. I should have worn the bald cap.
There you go.
Big listener of the show.
Get some skins on, Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Bull. Thank you. Yep.
What I'm not looking forward to about skimo is that the races seem to be pretty short.
Yeah. 3.5 minutes,
and
basically.
I will want to see more and more, and that will be a problem that I will have.
The relay goes for, I think, about half an hour. So the
I know,
a
but
bit
still,
longer,
but still, you're going to be like, I think once you get your head wrapped around what's going on, it's going to be over. And then you're like, wait, that was cool. I would like to see more.
But do you feel?
And then it will be a disappointment.
We've sort of likened it with some of our guests a bit to sport climbing, for example, that when we saw that in Tokyo, it was a hybrid model. Let's combine all the 3 disciplines. Then in Paris, they've separated them into 2, and then we're going to see the 3 very distinct disciplines in LA, and the athletes are very happy about that. So I find that this could be on that level, that we've got this sprint version that we're only seeing right now, but they've obviously got so many different versions of it. I mean, there are versions that sound like Sylvester Stallone in Cliffhanger, that they're just hanging off rocks and doing all this kind of epic stuff, which may be not good for TV, but I mean, if they can find a way to film it, I want to watch that. So hopefully we can see it be a success, and no disrespect to the great sport of breaking, and not be a breaking and be a one-off, and that this is something that's going to build further perhaps, and then we're going to see longer events, Stu. We're going to see it a little bit more than just a 3-minute sprint.
I mean, I don't know. I have a feeling it's going to be like rugby sevens, which I found to be so cool watching it on TV, watching it in Paris in person, also so cool. And then you're like, wait, it's over. Every game ended so quickly. And yeah, it's fun to have that element of just go, and have a sport be done, and you're not having to commit a whole lot of time to it. If you're a fan and you're watching it in person, you spent a lot of money on that ticket, first off. And you also want to, I don't know, it's getting your money's worth in a way, but also feeling like you're becoming more invested in the sport. And if it's just becomes transactional of, hey, you see it, okay, great, let's move on to the next event, then I think you kind of miss what goes into that sport and how difficult it's going to be.
I think you just brought up rugby sevens because you just wanted to remind me of what happened last year with America and Australia. We don't talk about that, but I agree with that. But I also think on the flip side of that, and maybe this is just coming from that perspective, coming from a rugby nation, whereas we're used to rugby. So us seeing a shortened version of the game is almost a benefit to get people into the longer form of the game, which is so esteemed in this part of the world. So I also look at that as it can lead people. I'm sure we'll see that with our beloved cricket in LA, because if you guys don't know much about rugby sevens, talk to me about cricket in a couple of years and see if you understand the bloody sport. But that hopefully then leads into the much more prestigious forms of cricket, because while 2020 is great, it's a great entertaining form of the sport. If you play cricket in Australia, you want to play test cricket. You want to play the 5-day version. That is the prestigious version you will play. In rugby, it's, going to the Olympics is great, rugby sevens, but you want to pull on the Wallabies jersey and play in the 15s in a full 80-minute game. So I wonder if that will happen with like a schemo, because, we've found a lot through the guests that so many of them are not sprint specialists. You know, they're kind of like, oh, sprint, that's the one they're doing. Okay, we'll do that then. But then, it's going to be intriguing. And I guess the Winter Olympics have a lot more scope to be able to expand their sports. Don't listen to that Sebastian Coe and put bloody judo in the Winter Olympics, right? That is not your excuse to do that before I continue. So maybe you can see. I hate that idea. Lord Sebastian Coe, stop it. But like it gives more scope potentially that we can see that expansion, and also not more flip-floppy with the sports, right? Because they've got a lot more gaps in the schedule and a lot more medals to give out than the Summer Olympics, where it's like, hey, guess what, baseball, softball? You ain't coming back for Brisbane. Sorry. So it'll be interesting how that happens. We spoke with Arthur Whitehead, and we've also got Cameron Smith to come on the show as well, who I've already spoken with too, and they're great content. And are you guys familiar with this sort of little USA-Canada rivalry that has to happen in December, that either you're both not going to be there, that it's either USA or Canada are going to be in Milano Cortina? Are you aware of this World Cup in December that will come down to this one race?
No.
So basically the quota system, how it works in Schemo is it's basically continental, as it is with a lot of these ones. But North America only has the one continental slot, and it's basically going to come down to the mixed relay. Canada are one spot ahead of the US currently in the world rankings. And at the event in Utah in December, if USA beat Canada in the mixed relay, you're in the Olympics, Canada are out. If Canada win, USA are out and Canada are in. So it's a winner take all basically, because it's that close in the standing. So there's your little bit for your summit next week to get them to talk up against the Canadians. They love it. Not that we do on this show.
A lot of US-Canada rivalry in the Winter Olympics, so it's not too hard to get either side to get a little feisty.
Yeah, just a bit. Which on that, can I just talk about, because we don't get to talk about a lot on this show because, you know, we get Colin's perspective, I guess, and we generally talk about the men's, but women's ice hockey, Canada, USA, obviously the gold medal already, you know, lock it in your calendar, but you pipped them in Pyeongchang. Are you going to pip them again in Milano Cortina? Because, I mean, this to me is one of the greatest rivalries in world sport, is women's ice hockey, Canada, USA, because you know what you're going to get every single time, right?
You know, ask me in a couple weeks, because they're coming to Cleveland. The US and Canada are facing off. They're doing like a prep tour. Nice. Like, and one of the stops is here. So
you're going? You're going to see it?
I should be going.
Nice. Alison, do you have any thoughts? Any opinions on it?
Yes. I am actually happy either way, because I think these women are incredibly amazing. But what's going to get me really excited is when we get a not US-Canada gold medal.
So like when we actually, one of them don't win. Yeah, because the sport has developed to a point then, hasn't it? Yeah. Okay.
You know, France is close. Japan is close. Mm-hmm. And to see a US-Japan, a Canada-France, that's when women's Olympic hockey particularly, is really going to come into its own in a way that I think it's not respected as much as it should be. I mean, now we have the professional women's hockey, which pushes it that much further. But that when it's not US Canada, that's when we're going to see it.
Was it 2006? Was it USA went out in the semis and they lost to Finland? Was that 2006?
There's one. Yeah, there's one.
But I mean, you're not going to get this reference because you don't know what netball is, but it's very similar to netball. It's always Australia, New Zealand. That's what it's always been. But recently, countries like England, and Jamaica have started to get good enough that finals aren't now always Australia-New Zealand, whereas at every Commonwealth Games, every World Championship for like 20 years, the gold medal match was always Australia versus New Zealand. A little bit more even. No disrespect to USA, but Canada always seemed to win, whereas it was always Australia, New Zealand. Like, it was very 50-50 when it came to those. But yeah, I agree. But I think it's, from where it was in 1998 to now, has obviously expanded so much. But like the excitement levels though, because, and this is not disrespecting what's happened in the last two Olympics on the men's side of things of the NHL, because we realize, the blurred lines and everything that happened with that. But I feel that that's only helped grow the women's game more because, again, maybe more eyes were on the women's ice hockey at the last two Olympics versus the men's because sadly we didn't have the best players in the world for the men playing. So, which will be interesting. On that, NHL players, you excited? We get to see Austin Matthews lace up Team USA, people like that. I get to see Sid the Kid. He's not really a kid anymore. And for the first time in my life, I get to actually cheer for Connor McDavid because he's not wearing a bloody Edmonton Oilers jersey. So he's wearing the Maple Leaf. So I'll be happy for once. So are we pumped for the NHL guys to be back?
It'll be fun. It'll take the hockey up to a different level, and that'll be exciting. It's nice because there's so many nationalities represented in the NHL. So it's not like one team or two teams benefit. You're going to have a ton of countries benefit from that.
Australia definitely doesn't benefit. Our one player doesn't exactly fill a whole team, but maybe. But again, Brisbane 2032, it's the Winter Olympics. So, it's it comes that way. Are you both there for, like, similar to Paris, for 2 months, like Paralympics as well? So the whole time?
We are
wow.
We are doing the Paralympics, but we did decide to come home in between.
So
that was a long time away. I loved it. I had never been to France before, so I got to do all the touristy things.
Yep.
But I've never been to Italy before, but I think we're going to come home.
You are going home. I'm going to be staying on the continent.
You're staying on the continent.
So you are. We haven't even discussed this yet.
Oh, wow. Okay. Where are you going, Jill?
Breaking news.
Where's the Euro trip
Where
going?
am I going?
Yeah.
I'd like to go to Lausanne, and I'd like to do some research.
That'd be fun.
We're going to see.
Yeah.
I have friends in Austria.
And Australia
that's not
too.
that far away. Yes. Yeah. Different kind of flight, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. It feels like there's not a ton of time in between these two.
It's a bit
and
closer.
I don't know why. Yeah. It feels like it's a little bit closer. Maybe it's because there's fewer sports and you don't have to have the same turnover time. Maybe it's because most of the sports all then switch over to just the Cortina side of Italy. So it just feels a little bit quieter. And the Paralympics are very tiny, the Winter Paralympics.
The big question, though, that I need to ask, is your accommodation better than Paris?
Well, we hope so. We have an Airbnb for Milan. We don't have our Paralympic stuff yet. Still waiting, figuring that out. But it's probably going to be near the Venice train station because, as you said, Cortina is like $35,000 a night.
Yeah.
And we don't have that kind of podcast budget, sadly.
Not even like $35 a night.
Yeah, I know. But we seem to have gotten a nice little Airbnb that's close to the main press center. So that'll be nice to work out.
Are you guys just counting down the days to LA? Like, that city's going to have places.
I am,
stay,
it's
right?
1,000 days. It's 1,000 days. I'm so excited about LA. Not only they'll do a good Olympics, but we also know we don't have to learn another language.
Yeah.
And we kind of know how things work.
Yep. And you're American.
Where we
you
would
just,
stay.
You get your people.
Where we would stay is that'd be another hard question to answer in LA. It's just, I think accommodation everywhere is tough for everybody, fans and media alike, because you see, people will go, hey, you're media, you must have a ton of money. Well, we don't have like New York Times money or NBC money. We have podcast money.
Snoop Dogg
money. And
that's
a lot different.
And I think a lot of people think we get more than we get. We get the events.
Yep.
We get tickets to the events. We don't get to stay in the media village. We don't get the broadcast access. We don't get all these things that I think in my conversations with people were really surprised that we were staying in some random hotel, that we weren't staying in the village. And we're like, no. Basically NBC is it 7 in Australia?
Channel 9.
They
now,
get to
but
stay. Yeah, they get to stay in the broadcast village. The rest of us are on our own.
Yeah. Well, I discovered, I mean, obviously different times. It was COVID, obviously, during Beijing. But my biggest thing I found with the TV side of things, but the majority of Australia, and you do it, I know, in America through Connecticut, is that a lot of the broadcast is actually done back in Australia. So I worked as a researcher, but people are like, oh, you get to go to Beijing. No, I'm in Melbourne. Like, we just film it down at the Docklands. Like, all our commentary is being done from a little studio in a box in Melbourne. And we've got I think 5, people on the ground in Beijing basically doing stuff there. So different times again, as I said, but obviously the day and ages we live in and everything. It's funny. We talk about the travel times between these venues in Italy. I was just working out because I'm thinking by 2032, I could be living in Brisbane. Who knows? But right now I'm a 2-hour flight from Brisbane. So that is basically going to be about the same time on a train to a lot of these venues that I'm going to in Italy. So, I mean, I may as well just fly home every night. I mean, a bit more expensive than a train ticket probably, but who knows? Off the Podium will be bigger than Joe Rogan by 2032. I can afford to do that. Who knows? But isn't it crazy when you think about those distances? And I'm sure you can just get base yourself in Phoenix or somewhere like that, a couple of hours from LA. Trying to think, it was 2 hours from LA. Denver.
There are people who do that. It's really funny you say that because in the United States, and I'm sure Australia has something similar, there's this phenomenon called the mega commuter.
Mm-hmm.
And it is basically somebody who, say, flies back and forth to work, the kind of job where you're on for 3 days, off for 4 days.
Yeah. When I lived in Victoria and Canada, I mean, again, a little bit closer, Victoria to Vancouver, but there were people who would do that every day to Vancouver. Again, a lot closer than some of these other cities we're saying, but dude, that adds up. Is that in your budget? Is that part of your contract? That's it's madness. I want to ask, because I've got a prop here. Tina and Milo, what are our thoughts? We're always a mascot show, but here's little Tina. There she is.
We can't get them yet in the US.
Can't you? Just go to the Milano website. No, they won't ship
they
them to
don't
you?
ship.
Who's to blame for that? Well, anyway,
I wonder.
What if you ordered one and sent it to me? Then can I send it to you? Does that work? I mean, a bit more on postage, but I mean, anyway.
I was going to
say a lot more on postage.
What do we think of Tina? Outside of tariffs.
I think they're adorable.
I
love
cute.
The mascots.
I
think they did a great job. Yes.
Did we know much about stouts beforehand? I'd not really heard much of a stout.
They're like minks almost.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Wait, no, hold on. They're ermine.
We had this conversation. Ermines, yes.
I'd go with mink. It sounds more, like I would understand that than what you just said, but
different type of fur.
Right. Okay. Clearly, you're going that side. I just thought it was a different animal, but you're going the fashion side.
It is.
All right. Okay.
It is a different animal, but the stoat's other name is an ermine, but people know ermine because that's the fur that a royal has on the royal.
I thought ermine was that character that went, did I do that? But that was Urkel. So jokes are really going well today on this show. This is why they win the trivia. I just bring up Pitbull and Urkel.
I'm just going to start calling you Burkle.
Not the worst thing I've been called. But I think are we in a bit of a golden age for mascots? Because I think we've fallen away, say on the opening ceremony side of things. Paris saved face, but we were dipping down on the opening ceremonies. But from Bing Duen Duen to Frege to Tina, we're in and Milo, not to take away from that. And there's Bing Duen. Oh God, and Shui Ron Ron and all the ones that we're having.
Here with me.
But
go back to Pyeongchang and get
Bondaby.
Get Jill started on that.
Oh my god.
What did I call them? Boroby and Soroby, whatever. Yeah, Surang and Boorang. That's what we called them back at the time. But no, sorry, not to disrespect from Pyeongchang as well, and then that weird thing from Rio that we always forget. But the point is, we are in a golden age. I like Wenlock from London. Wenlock was pretty cool, the dildo thing. But what was the Sochi one? I forget the Sochi one. It was a bear, wasn't it?
Leopard, the bear, and the rabbit.
That's right.
Yeah, that's leopard.
Not that
Leopard's
memorable.
Jerk. We have a leopard too. He's a jerk.
But again, golden age of mascots, right? Got to go back to Fatso in Sydney. That you had a good mascot.
We had very, when you started off, I'm like, ooh, this is going to be very Roy and HG vibes here.
Hey, and actually, I've said to our group chat for Off the Podium that they actually just had here in Australia a 2-part 25th anniversary documentary on Sydney 2000, which was actually something that I felt was put together pretty quickly because they didn't advertise it much. It was actually solidly well done. And given that the Olympics are now on Channel 9 and Channel 7 had them back in 2000, they actually did reference Roy and HG and Fatso, which I was very surprised because that was obviously different network. So if I can Dropbox it too if you do want to see it. It was quite,
please.
quite good.
I love Roy and HG.
Cassie Freeman's on it, Ian Thorpe's on. They even tracked down Eric the Eel for an interview. So that was pretty cool.
They got him.
They got Eric the Eel. Yeah, none of us can. So that was pretty good. But on the golden age of mascots, what are we hoping for LA? I just want to ask you this because the next mascot, and I feel they generally announce the mascots pretty early, don't they? That's generally ahead of, say, the medals and torches and stuff like that. So maybe within the next 12 to 18 months, we're going to get an LA mascot. What are we hoping for?
Well, wait, I think LA needs to release about 500 to 700 more versions of the LA logo.
Yeah, no,
before they can get around to the mascots.
No. Just a few more, LA.
But I don't know. I am very worried that, yes, we are in a nice golden age of mascots. And Frege had to grow on me. I will say that. Frege had to grow on me. Yeah, I know. I see a Frege on the shelf. I have a Frege
Cherry's
shoe.
been squeezed between Izzy and Frege. I mean, that's a pretty good threesome if you ask me. But anyway, sorry, keep going. I've mentioned dildos and threesomes. This isn't appropriate for you two.
What is it?
What is
it? That's what I'm worried about, that we would do that again. Or we'd have something super realistic, because I hate to say it, the Sydney mascots are not my favorites.
They're fine. I think, Sid Millie and Dickhead, as Roy and HG called them, they were very quintessentially Australian. And I think at the time I was a kid, loved them. But yeah, they don't, I can't even remember where I ranked them in. I think they were in the top 10 in our mascot one. But yeah, they're not my favorite either. They're fine. But
like the idea of them are cool. The idea of those animals, but the execution is not very good. That lifelike animation and just that style that was there. No. I'm hoping
that, I mean, it's very cliche. I get it. But kangaroo for a mascot. I mean, I don't know. It's the joke for Brisbane is that they've got a bird that lives in Brisbane called the ibis, which just everywhere you go, it's just kind of like this, two-legged, weird-looking, look it up. They're called bin chickens because basically they just hover around theme parks and eat out of trash cans. So the big joke is that there's going to be a bin chicken mascot because they're just quintessentially Queensland. No, I'm hopeful for a kangaroo standard. But could you do a hybrid of like the classic Sam the Eagle? I know it's, cliche, but I mean, it's LA. It's very LA,
My dream is a updated Sam the Eagle.
Yeah, iconic.
For 28. Yeah.
Can we get Sam and Izzy to have a love child? Have Sizzy. Oh, don't. No. Give me my Izzy love. What about we just literally get a dog called Snoop? Just,
Well, 1932.
Yeah, the real dog.
Unofficial.
Yeah.
Smokey. I mean, there you go. You got Smokey and Sam as the Olympic and Paralympic versions.
When we did the mascot episode, with the fact that we discovered there was like a real animal, that is just brilliant. That is just such an idea. Who would you have then? Could you have an iconic Hollywood star? I think we've talked about this before. I feel this is very deja vu. Just have Tom Cruise as your mascot. There he is. Little Tom Cruise jumping on a couch. Sell, wouldn't it?
No, but I mean, this will be interesting because it's the first city to have to do a second mascot.
It would be, yeah.
We haven't gone through this process before.
100%, yeah.
I mean, every other multi-host city has hosted before mascots were a thing.
That's right.
Take living animal out of the way. But so what do you do? And the pressure is on because Sam is a good mascot.
Sam's a bloody brilliant mascot. We've been, when our classic Olympic episodes, we've been using ChatGPT to generate mascots for Athens 1896, St. Louis 1904, those types of things. But it is a good point that this is the first Olympics to have a repeat, have a second mascot, have a second crack at it. So yeah, that's a solid word. What is a Californian animal, like a mountain lion or something, or They have bears in California?
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
they
the
have
bear
bears,
is
'cause
on the flag.
It is.
The state flag is a
Of
bear.
course it is, yeah. So maybe a bear or a mountain lion.
It's not LA though. That's California.
You know, what do you want to have? Like a suntanned blonde person on roller skates?
dolphin. I don't know. Whale.
A whale, yeah. In-N-Out burger, just a burger. There it is. Official. I don't think they're a sponsor though, are they? So they probably wouldn't get away with that.
Since you mentioned In-N-Out and they've got that logo, I would think that maybe Brisbane should have a boomerang.
Yeah.
Since Paris did a hat, you might as well just do another
True.
object.
Yeah. The problem with boomerangs is that as tied as they are to our culture and indigenous culture and everything, which is fantastic, when it comes to like the World Boomerang Championships, we suck. You guys beat us in the world. Like it's embarrassing. We never talk about it here because every time there's a World Boomerang Throwing Championships, Australia doesn't win. The thing that we created. It's kind of like England and soccer. They just can't win it. So, it's, yeah, but I like that, like a boomerang. It's quirky.
I just remembered when I did the research for our episode on the Sydney mascots that the Commonwealth Games that occurred in Australia prior to Sydney 2000, and I apologize for not knowing the year, it was a live kangaroo.
Brisbane 1982 Matilda, the famous winking kangaroo from 82. Yeah, they had a live version of it. Yeah. The iconic image of that was the opening ceremony of this giant Matilda kangaroo that winked in the camera. So that's all everybody remembers from those Commonwealth Games. And that was before I was born, but yeah, I know about that. So, and our Commonwealth Games after that, we had Melbourne in 2006 had a bird, like a galah, I think. And then Borrabee, 2018 was a koala, and we love Borrabee. Like if you look up Borrabee, I hunted Borrabee down all the time. I got so many photos of Borrabee. And actually Borrabee is somewhere in that shelf there. But sandwich. There's Tazuni, the Women's World Cup mascot, who snobbed me so many times of photos in 2023, but whatever. But we did have the Men's World Cup mascots, didn't we? Just released
We did.
Yeah. So Canada had a moose, wasn't it? What was America's? Was it another eagle? Or I can't even remember. They weren't that memorable when I saw them.
I know we're like, wait, we need to look that up because
Yeah.
I
Which
don't
I didn't
remember
mind
seeing
it.
them at
Okay,
all.
so they had Maple the moose, Zayu the jaguar from Mexico, and Clutch the bald eagle.
It was a bald eagle. Yeah. But
What?
going back to your points about realistic versus fun, they're a bit like, not realistic. Like they look fun is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, but they definitely went the most cliche route with those mascots.
Well, they also have like the little head or the little body's big head look
True.
going on.
But did you see the Qatar one for the Men's World Cup? It was like a sheet.
Yeah, it was
like a ghost.
another hat.
Yeah.
It was a hat.
It was great. It grew on me. And Tazuni was a good mascot for the Women's World Cup. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. 100 days to go. Final anything? Like, is there anything that you haven't mentioned or we haven't talked about that you're pumped for? Your preparation, you plug what you've got coming up. I mean, because people, again, don't realize, I think with 100 days to go, that our shows get very busy. We get a lot of content. We got a lot of preparation. And then we get to the ground, but we're not complaining because we love it. This is what we do it for. We sit around for 3.5 years twiddling our thumbs, and then we get busy 6 months before an Olympics. So any last thoughts? Alison, I'll start with you. 100 days to go.
I'm excited, and I would like to see more excitement around it. It feels a little too quiet. So I'm hoping 100 days will kind of kick it up here in the States, that we'll see the action kind of gear up. And as we're getting closer to the winter and to Christmas, and we see some snow, at least in the northeast portion of the country, that people will tune in, and of course tune into us every day, but just kind of tap in to that Olympic and Paralympic excitement.
They've got to have a second podcast to listen to after the shit one of ours they listen to. It's like, oh, fuck that shit. What's a good one? Oh, keep playing alive. The smartest Olympic podcast. That sounds good.
Right.
Jill, anything else to add?
This is the last big event that's having its first post-COVID version.
Yeah.
And
pretty true.
I'm really excited that the athletes get to have fans back in the stands and get to have the excitement of crowds. And yeah, they've been competing with crowds now, but I mean, the Olympics and the Paralympics bring out a different size group of people. So it's going to be really exciting. Italy, I think for us on the back end, we'll have headaches. The fans might have headaches getting around, but you're going to see some really cool things. They're going to have that Italian touch, just like the French had all those French touches. I can see like there's glimmers of, oh, the Italians are going to do some special stuff that we may not know, but it's going to be very, very special culturally. And I'm excited about that.
And we just talked about it too. We did the Turin opening ceremony review, which actually will air in a couple of days. But sort of, we've all at least experienced an Italian Winter Olympics in our lifetime, haven't we? So we remember Turin. We remember what they did then, and it was, pretty great Olympic Games in 2006. So, I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be special, and I'm excited to see Winter Olympics in person. Again, I've always just liked the Winter Olympics more than the Summer Olympics. Still love the Summer Olympics, but just something about the winters that I've always loved a little bit more. So I've already ordered a few extra layers. I'm obviously coming from a part of the world where it will not be exactly that temperature when I leave. But it was exactly the same for Paris. I left during winter, but not quite the winter you're used to. So, I happened to get a couple of puffers with a couple of logos on it, which I feel will be a bit fun. So, see how it goes there. But guys, really appreciate your time. It's always fun to do this. Plug the show. What have you got coming up? Tag anything special, exciting, and how can people follow the Better Olympics podcast?
We are flamealivepod.com, Flame Alive Pod on social. Keep the flame alive on your favorite podcast app. And we've got coming up, we're talking to a Kiwi this week.
Bro.
Dame Lisa Carrington came on the show.
You know what? We've actually got Dame Lisa Carrington on the show. She won't air until early next year. I think we've got her as our premiere episode for 2026. But
excellent.
There you go. We've both got the greatest New Zealand to ever be a New Zealander on the show. So there you go. That's exciting. I look forward to hearing your chat with her.
Yeah, we're talking to some losers coming up. We had Ashley Farquharson on talking about going back to school, Jill. But now we're talking. Well, I
thought you didn't swear.
Just not on the show. and she's back to talk about losing, and then we talked to a doubles luge team. And who else? Alana Myers-Taylor talked with Alison, so that's going to be awesome.
Right.
And then we go to Team USA Media Summit and right for the 100 days, and we're going to get a boatload of content from that.
And where is that in Colorado Springs?
No, that'll be in Manhattan.
New York.
Oh, New York. See, if I was still there, I could have snuck in, there you go. Yeah, I'll probably get a note an hour beforehand going, yeah, come along. Speak to Scotty James. You'll just be at the pub. You want to speak to Scotty James? Tess Cody's here. There you are. Bree's on Skype. You want to chat with her? We'll see what the AOC does. But exciting to see your coverage. And how are the pins looking for Milano? I haven't quite organised off the podium's pins yet, but looking good.
We right now don't have a pin budget.
Oh, you don't have a pin budget? Oh,
no, it's been we're bootstrapping these games a lot more just because they're so spread out.
Can somebody listening give some pin
they could
pin
we
companies.
Could definitely if we have to pin sponsor.
They are the smartest podcast.
Or pin patron.
Alex.
Pin patron.
Fantasy 5 Rings podcast budget should their price should be paying for their pins. Can we do that? That works. I've got to get some pins. I've still got a bag of Paris pins. If anybody listening wants a off the podium Paris pin, message me. You gladly can get a handful of them, literally. But we're excited. We'll see you hopefully on the ground. It won't be quite like Paris where there, but I'm sure we'll catch up. I'm sure we'll do something while we're there. But always appreciate your time on the show. Everybody else listening and watching and everything along those lines, keep tuning in here to Off the Podium. I mentioned Skimo. Lara Hamilton's on the show this week, Australia's leading female Skimo athlete. She's all but on the plane for Milano Cortina. Great chat with her coming this week. And then as I just touched on before, next Monday, we'll have our Turin opening ceremony review. Our classic series will be our last one that we're doing before the Olympics next year. So we thought, well, let's do the last Italian one because that makes the most sense. And a lot of fun doing that one with Jared and Colin. Plenty of other great content keeping you excited between now and Milano Cortina. Like, subscribe, do all the things off the podiumpod.com. You know where to go. If you've enjoyed today's episode, my name has been Ben Waterworth, and if you haven't, it's been Noah Groves. Good night.